That's right. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Sounds good. Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Brian. I'm the CEO of Survivr. Survivr is a public benefit corporation that specializes in immersive training for first responders. Simply put, we exist to make communities safer. But before we jump into that, I want you to first imagine that you are a police officer responding to this call. You are told that there is a suspicious individual loitering in an alleyway, but that's about it. However, as you arrive on scene and approach, the suspect suddenly reaches behind and pulls out a dark object. Now, what do you do next? Draw your firearm, reach for your taser. Is it too late to de-escalate the situation? Well, when police officers approach complex situations like this one, their split-second decisions can mean life or death. And police agencies know this, so they invest heavily in training. However, today's training is profoundly inadequate, and I'll break it down into three basic types. Classes are boring and lack real-life pressure. Live actors are an expensive logistical nightmare. And existing training simulators only play videos on screens. These training scenarios, like the one you see here, are pre-scripted, unrepeatable, and don't allow you to practice dynamic communication skills or physical tactics. You are at the mercy of whatever plays in the video from start to end, just like you're trying to talk to a movie, essentially. And that's where we come in. Survivr provides the latest standard of police training simulators. So we use virtual reality to create fully immersive 360-degree training environments that allow you to engage both verbally and physically, whether in a traffic stop, domestic violence situation, or active shooter crisis. And so our training goes well beyond just knowing when and how to use force. So we help first responders understand de-escalation and the endless complexities of high stakes, fast moving situations. We even offer custom simulations of real world environments for hyper relevant training. And so here you can see some of our before and after images that we've made for military checkpoints. And so from a traction standpoint, since 2020, we've booked 27 simulators across 14 customers in 10 states. Our customers today include municipal, county, federal, military, and university law enforcement agencies, as well as our first private security firm recently. So we're really excited by our consistent inbound demand. All of our sales activity is just from handling inbound from across the nation and even beyond. And we actually anticipate exceeding internal sales capacity in less than a month. Meanwhile, our product has matured to over 25 fully customizable training scenario platforms and advanced features such as multi-user training and spatial calibration. We have multiple simulator software inventions under a patent application, and we have deeper plans in our pipeline coming up this year from eye tracking to our implicit bias detection platform. And while we started with police at the very beginning, we quickly realized how our platform could be adapted to serve other adjacent verticals and use cases in both the public and private sectors. Finally, we've assembled a well-balanced team to accelerate our growth. Our co-founders have computer science backgrounds. We previously started a VR, AR consultancy. While 50% of our full-time employees are former law enforcement with 15 years of government contracting. We likewise, our corporate and scientific advisors have a similar balance with backgrounds in VR, law enforcement, criminology, and corporate operations. And so in summary, Survivr is the future of first responder training, and it's ready today. We anticipate rapid growth this year, and the biggest ask is we would appreciate any first responder connections who you believe may benefit from enhanced training for de-escalation and decision-making. Because ultimately, we're here for one reason. The more communities will help go home at night, the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian, from Survivr. Wonderful tech, wonderful pitch. Panelists, questions, floor is yours.
I can go. So first of all, I love your mission. Again, thanks for embarking on it and spending the time and dedication. I see your differentiation based on what currently exists in the market. But let's say you're successful. What is your longer term moat that prevents copycats from saying, "Oh yeah, this is like a much better way. I'm going to do the same thing and go after the market." So what's sort of like the hard thing that you're doing that others can't, or what are you uniquely qualified to do?
Uh, what we've seen is it's a relatively difficult market and technology to jump into. So what we've seen is there's a big difference between building let's say a game overnight, like at a hackathon or whatever, and building a legitimate police training simulator. So we have in our bundle of proprietary and advanced technical features are growing by the month, and so anything from multi-user capability, the spatial calibration, both of which are under a patent application, the scenario creation platform that we created, microphone input. So I would say we design our engineering pipeline is designed and planned by law enforcement for law enforcement, and we just don't see it. I think it would be really difficult in practice for a random group to jump in and try to recreate and catch up to where we are. Law enforcement, I think, is
And just
especially
to
there's
interrupt,
a
I'm not
market.
talking about a random group. I'm talking about if folks with similar backgrounds said, okay, I want to go after and try to do the same thing. And what I'm hearing is like your feature velocity is so high that it just might take an inordinate amount of capital or effort to do that. But I don't
That's
want to
what
put words in your mouth.
that's what we believe is the case. I think that especially when you look at larger incumbents in a law enforcement space, whether they're in training or in some other adjacent use case, we believe it would make a lot more sense at this point for them to acquire us than to try to spend the resources trying to figure out how to build a simulation like ours and catch up. Because you can make simpler simulators with easier hardware like the Oculus Quest or something like that. But again, we have fully realistic firearms. We've built the most enterprise application of this possible. So that's what we're seeing.
Fantastic. Any more questions for Survivor?
I guess I would just say like content plays on platforms tend to be kind of like hits businesses. And so I think the question is like, is this going to be like a hit or not? And the other thing I would ask is, and I guess that's more of a statement, but the other simulator companies that are out there, even though their products I would agree are inferior to yours, if you come in and you kind of take all of that spend, how big do you think that market could be?
So if we look at just police agencies, there are approximately 18 to 19,000 police agencies in the U.S. So if we take, let's say, an average deal size of about 83,000, which is a little bit below what our actual average deal size was last year, that's a market size of 1.5 billion, and that's kind of where we started at. But again, like we went to military universities and now private security a lot sooner than we thought we would. So I think the actual market, the demand we're seeing in practice is much broader than that.
Gotcha.